What's up? My name is Adam Elhardouzi. I'm a sophomore at Long Beach State University, where I study social media journalism, and I have an internship position as a creative video intern for Long Beach State Athletics. So I'm originally from the South Bay, about 30 minutes north of Long Beach, where I went to Redondo Union High School and grew up in the Manhattan Beach, Hermosa Beach, Redondo Beach area. At the end of my first semester here at Long Beach, I made the decision, which was probably one of the hardest decisions of my life, which was stepping away from the game I loved and the game I worked so hard for, in order to pursue another passion of mine, which was sports media and content creation. Because I just got a promotion. I had gotten a promotion in my internship at the time to be the lead of video production for the women's basketball team that upcoming season, and I just felt like that was a better opportunity for me personally, in terms of bettering my resume, my portfolio, my connections, like my content, my experience, rather than just playing rugby for fun. Because obviously I'm not getting paid for rugby, and the job was done. I already got into the school. Rugby was the way to get me into the school. So like, as messed up as it seems, like it served its purpose. I just felt like the opportunities I had and the room for more growth and the room for just like better opportunities was just more valuable in the lane of my personal sports media than it was for rugby at the time. So ever since then, after like that December of 23, I never really looked back at rugby, and I'm full-time sports videography now.
Would you say that decision was challenging for you?
Yeah. So just for that decision was, like I said, it was the hardest decision of my life, because for the last 4 years prior to that, like, every week, almost every day, you're working to be the best athlete you can be. How do I, like, you were getting recruited, you're talking to all these coaches, you're going on all these visits, you're playing in all these tournaments, you're applying for all these academy teams, traveling, like, just to make it to play D1 college, and like, I finally did that after like all those 4 years of like, just working my butt off, and then like once I got there, like I never would have thought that after only one semester I would have, like thrown it all out. But like, I got presented with this amazing opportunity, and I realized that this is definitely like the path that I was meant to go on. And I think I'm going to be a lot more successful in this path, and I already am a lot more successful in this path. So I think this worked out, and like, I still love all my rugby boys. Like, I still live in the rugby house. Those are all my roommates, and those are my brothers. So those are I still have that part of my life attached to me. But um, yeah. Honestly, the amount of time to put together a video project, differs by what exactly I'm putting together. There's a couple different things that I'm normally tasked to do, or that I normally do for myself. It's either like cinematic recap videos of, say, a really big win when our volleyball team plays other big programs like Hawaii, UCLA, or a playoff game, or there's regular in-season like promo videos or hype videos or stuff like that. Those types of content, which is a little bit faster because I don't have to put that much time into it. Say we're playing a really low-level program, I just need to put together a 30-second video for our socials to just like get the fans and players excited, just to promote our next game to sell tickets, versus after we beat GCU last year in the semifinal, that was like a 6 minute, 7 minute cinematic recap video, which took me like all night, like 8 hours, 9 hours, versus a regular hype video or a regular promo game, saying week 4 of the season. It's only going to take me about an hour or two. So it just really differs into how much time I put into it, how much is going to go into it, and just that type of stuff. Yeah.
And do you feel the pressure of like, because I know learning from Kat that what she does is that during mid game she would literally take pictures, run up to the media table, edit, come back down, and basically redo all the cycle again. But as you making video content, does that apply to you too?
Yeah, so it definitely applies to me as well. Honestly, the live content aspect of in-game shooting applies to all of our interns, whether it's a social media intern or a photography intern or a videography intern. I think that I think that I got better at it over time. I think in the beginning it was definitely in the beginning it was for sure stressful, not gonna lie. To be like sitting, for example, like a basketball game or a volleyball game, to be sitting, like at the baseline, having a really cool crazy play happen right in front of you, and having it like right at a timeout or a stoppage, run to your laptop, edit it, like, and you're like, oh crap, like the game's about to resume, da 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 da. Like, make sure your colors are good, make sure the sound is all synced up, make sure it's cut properly with our proper branding logos, and sent to either whether I'm the one posting it or my supervisor's sending it to them, because sometimes the Wi-Fi is faulty, or sometimes AirDrop isn't working, or sometimes Bluetooth is weird, and it's like, like I have to get back down there. But like honestly, like there's no reason to stress it. Like obviously now I'm very confident with myself and with my workflow, so it's just like what's the term people use? It's like muscle memory now. It's like I'm not stressed anymore. Unless it was like, for example, last year in the national championship. Not gonna lie, like I was stressed. I was like, oh, like because you don't want to miss any of the action when you're up there, in the 10th row editing. Like you want to be on the floor as much as possible, capturing content. And so, unless it's like a really big game, like yeah, you may be like, oh crap, like I need to hustle, like you get a little bit of nerves. But for the most part, like I've done this so many times now, like I don't really get stressed or anything like that no more.
What did you learn from that experience? I mean, like you said, it's a very rigorous process, and you guys were like having a game like literally throughout the entire week and possibly even through mid week. So what did you learn from that process?
The process, what I learned from the process of like
Yeah,
posting
like
live
just
content.
feeling the pressures, and then like just how did you learn how to like be confident with yourself in your own
Um,
work?
all right. That's a good one. All right. Well, honestly, like how I learned to be confident in my own work is just knowing that like honestly it doesn't really matter what anybody else thinks. Like at the end of the day, like I make content, whether or not it's for Long Beach or for other freelance work I do or personal work. Like I do it because I enjoy it, and yeah, like my goal is like I hope people enjoy my content. But at the end of the day, like I'm not gonna make content other people like and that I don't enjoy making. Everything I do, everything I make, everything I put together is stuff that I enjoy. It's stuff that I enjoy the finished product of and the process of creating. And so at the end of the day, like as long as I'm having fun, as long as I'm enjoying it, odds are other people are thinking the same thing too. So and even if they don't, like who cares? Like everyone has their own opinion. Not everyone's gonna like your photos or your videos or your content. I think the biggest part about being a beginner in the sports media space is making sure you don't compare yourself to others right at the very beginning. Obviously, there's going to be people that you look and you're like, wow, like this person's so good. She takes really good photos. He takes really good video. Like, how could I ever how could I ever do that? Like the content's so much better than mine. But I guarantee you, odds are like they started at that exact same level that you started, that I started. Like looking back at my content from 2.5 years ago, like I look back and I cringe at my old stuff. I'm like, oh, like I can't believe I thought that was good at the time, but like at the time I did. But honestly, like it doesn't matter. Like everyone starts from somewhere, and the biggest thing is to just post your work, like whether or not like you think you'll be embarrassed, or like you think, oh, people like might not think this is this good. Like honestly, like the more you post, the better. It's better to just like put your content out there, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's great, whether you think it is or not. Just because like any content is good content. It shows like on your portfolio, on your resume, on your Instagram feed. When people look at it later down the line, they'll be like, wow, he or she has really improved. He or she has really gotten better. Whether it's good now or not, you're always gonna get better. Like even though like yeah, I think my stuff is pretty cool now, it's definitely gonna get better in the future. So I'm not gonna not post now because like oh I'll be so much better in a year. I'm gonna wait till then. That's not really how it works. Like you want to show growth, you want to show improvement because other people notice that too, especially employers, especially people that are looking to hire you. So I think it's all a part of the process, and honestly, it doesn't really matter where you start because I started, exactly where you did, for example.
Tell me more about your experience with RFCLA.
RFCLA. Okay, gotcha. So yeah, not sure if you know this, but rugby and men's volleyball are currently the two fastest growing sports in the United States right now. Our U.S. women's rugby national team just took home the bronze medal last summer in Paris, which is huge because like the U.S. is not a rugby country. It never has. and it won't be for a while, to say the least. Because like school, much more developed rugby countries such as Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Ireland, those are the quote unquote kings of the rugby world. So to have a team like have a country like the U.S. win a medal in the Olympics for rugby was huge for the whole sport, huge for the game of USA Rugby, and that's going to help us grow the game so much more just because of the publicity. But speaking of that, there is a fairly new professional rugby league in the United States. It's called Major League Rugby, or the MLR. And the city of Los Angeles, as of a year ago, has a brand new expansion team called Rugby FC Los Angeles, or better known, shorter known as RFCLA. And so I am currently the lead of video production for RFCLA. So I handle all of their live in-game postings. They're everything from practices to media days to interviews to we're working on a documentary. Everything like that, that kind of runs through me. I kind of handle that whole aspect. And like, how did I get into it? So honestly, I think as of recently, I've done work with teams such as the USA men and women sevens before they went to the Olympics. I did a lot of commercials and social media advertisements for them, as well as traveling with the men's national team in Madrid. And then soon, this Saturday actually, women's team plays over at UCLA against the Japan national team. And I think the biggest reason why I'm getting a lot of these jobs is because I come from a rugby background myself. I'm one of the only rugby content creators I've met as of recent that is a former player. There's not a lot of those, and I think that's important because as a former player, I know the game more than the average regular videographer. If you never watched rugby before, and you just step on that sideline with a camera, you're honestly going to have not a lot of ideas of what's going on or what to anticipate. So being there, I can kind of anticipate the plays with the action before it actually happens, which is definitely a step up over other content creators that are trying to get a job with rugby teams, because I'm the only one that can say I actually played at a high level and I've experience with that. And I think the players and the coaches recognize that too, because I have that, like, rugby's a really small community, and like rugby, like this family of rugby, especially here in the United States, is really small. So like, because I was a former player, because I played at higher level academy teams and at the collegiate level, I know a lot of people, especially in the SoCal area. And so like that's led me to get a lot of jobs because the former coaches or former staff that tried to recruit me while I was in high school are now coaching at these collegiate teams or professional teams. So even though I don't play anymore, I still have them in my phone as contacts, or I still keep in touch with them on Twitter or Instagram or via email, or follow them on social media. So like when I go to approach them or when they come to approach me, we already have that prior relationship. So that's also a step up over other people, I think, that I have in the world of rugby content creation, because not a lot of people have those connections with high level rugby staff here in the United States like I did. Yeah. So media days are always a long but very fun experience. We normally have about 3 to 4 different stations. For example, we'll have a room set up with 2 or 3 backdrops just for photos, whether it's a white backdrop, a yellow backdrop, or a collage backdrop. Those will be for players to come and take photos, whether for it's our marketing department or for their personal social media. We'll also have a green screen room if they're a sport that has a jumbotron, like both basketballs, like baseball. So we'll have a green screen room where they'll do like promotional stuff. And then, of course, on the court or on the field, depending on the sport, we'll do content there with them for their intro videos. And so those normally take about 4 to 6 hours in total, from setup to cleanup. Obviously, bigger sports like baseball that have say 40 guys take a little more time than basketball with 11 people. So it just kind of depends, but it's always a super fun experience, and you get to learn a little bit of everything, which is honestly really cool and a really good experience to have on my portfolio and on my resume to show to future employers that I know how to work a green screen, I know how to work this, I know how to set up this, I've worked this media days, and it's just not a lot of people get to do that. In terms of games and practices, honestly, just each sport is different, to be honest. Like volleyball games are gonna look a little more different than soccer games. Like volleyball and basketball, I get to be right there, super up close to the action, where soccer, they could be on the other side of the field for a quarter of the game, and like you don't capture anything because it's too far or nothing's really happening. And it's just like the atmosphere too. I personally enjoy, I know this is a question you're gonna ask too, I personally enjoy filming basketball and volleyball a little more, because it's a little more of a controlled environment. Everything happens right there in front of me, and there's not a lot of other variables such as weather, or like uh, what is under there, such as weather, versus like soccer. Like sometimes like in the 75th minute, I'm there in in November, and I'm like my fingers are freezing, and I'm like like when is this gonna end?
Yeah.
Unless when it's a close game though. Like I love soccer when it's a close game. Like I think it's a lot of fun. I think soccer can be a lot of fun. I just never really grew up in the world of soccer, but I definitely have my love for that game too. Yeah.
And run me like through your shooting style, like.
My edits are honestly like they're super clean. I don't include a lot of like overlays or flashes or like transitions or anything like that you'll find on apps such as like CapCut or like PixArt or Final Cut and stuff like that. Honestly, like when you look at my stuff, there's really, for the most part, on the average recap video, there's nothing really fancy about the actual like editing of the visuals of what you see. What I'm proud of is my ability to storytell, and for example, like my recap videos start from the moment the doors open until the players, clap it up and say thank you to the fans in attendance. So yeah, my goal when I make these cinematic recap videos is my goal is to make people that weren't at the games when they watch my videos feel as if they are there literally in the first row witnessing this amazing game. I want them to literally like feel the energy as if they were there in the arena. And if you were there and you were at the game and you were able to see this game, I want these people to experience it in a different way in which they experienced it the first time, sitting there, say, in the 34th row, by giving them maybe a little bit of detail in which they missed, or some commentary which they didn't get to hear, or players' reactions which they were too far away to see. It's little details like that, and I think a big driving factor in that is my choice of music. I think my choice of music is very unique among sports videographers. Honestly, like again, Ivan was a big inspiration. Oh yeah, I think that Ivan April, who's also like I said one of my fellow interns, he was a really big inspiration. When I saw his recap videos when I was still in high school, or even when I first got here, like my first couple months as a freshman, he really inspired me to like make these recap videos in a way that not a lot of creators can, because I think him and I really have like a unique talent that's we're able to really just tell a really good story with music that a lot of people might think like, oh, like orchestra music is boring, or violin music, how could I ever make this into a cool edit? But I think that's the beauty of it. I think if you're able to tell a story in the most minimal way using this mainstream music in my recap videos, I think I don't know, in my opinion, I think it kind of takes away from the story at hand. I don't want people to focus on, oh, like the biggest hit, or oh, he included so and so's song, or this latest rap hit, da 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 da. Like I think that takes away from the whole aspect. So that's why I love using orchestra music or violin and piano music or percussion music, stuff like that, because that's what I really think extracts the emotion the most out of people, and that's able to just like build the emotion and build the energy, and it keeps the attention what I want people to focus on, which is the game itself, which is the visuals of the plays which I've recorded, and the music in the background. The only job of that is to just help build the emotion and almost like guide the flow of the story. Right when I started my whole sports videography thing, I used Final Cut just because that's what I used all throughout high school. That's what I used back in high school when I first learned. But once I transferred to Long Beach, or once I came into Long Beach, I definitely switched to Adobe Premiere pretty fast. Just because I realized from talking to a lot of my fellow interns and supervisors that Adobe Premiere, the workflow there is just so much more effective, so much more efficient and faster, and I'm able to get the same work done I was doing in Final Cut on Premiere now, probably like 4 times as fast. Like, it's a lot more, I don't know, it's just better. And so the point is I use Adobe Premiere for filming, or for video stuff, and then I use Lightroom for taking photos, which is, I'm sure everyone uses Lightroom, nothing special about that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And was it like hard navigating through Adobe Premiere?
Yeah, so when I first transferred over to Adobe Premiere from Final Cut, it definitely took me a minute to learn all the, the shortcuts, the keyboard commands, everything like that. But after a while, like once you really get it down, your workflow is so much faster, so much more efficient. Like I'm never looking back for sure. And honestly, like when you compare the two, it's very similar. Like the goal of each platform is the same. They're both video editing softwares. Like the layout is very similar. They both have timelines. They both have like the volume meter, or they both have a color grading system. But it's the way Adobe is laid out. It's just so much more user friendly. I feel so much more comfortable using that. And now that I've been using that for almost 2 years, like I look back at Final Cut now and I can't even believe that I was dealing with that for that period of
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Um, so I right now have the Sony A7 IV. I used to have the Sony A6400. That was my very first beginner camera, and I ended up selling that one like a couple months ago. But if anyone's looking into getting a really good quality beginner camera for photography or videography, or a mixture of both, I think the Sony A6400 is the camera for you. I used it for over a year, and honestly, just like I would just recommend using that until it holds you back from other projects you want to do. So like I just got to the point where I was like, all right, like I know how to work this camera inside and out. There's just some capabilities of this camera that like that are stopping me from doing these future projects. So I invested in the Sony A7 IV, which is one of the higher tier cameras for sports videography and photography. It's a dual camera, so I'm definitely never looking back at anything else. As of now, FX3 is on my list though. Um, all right. Honestly, I think the biggest part of me being really good with my time management is that I was a former athlete. I think throughout high school, like I was always having a just the average person, doesn't have to wake up at like 5:45 to go to their 6:30 football lift, and then shower, and then eat, and then hurry to class, and then right after class go back to practice, and then you have film, and then you go back homework and dinner. Like average person, for the majority of people, honestly, like here in the U.S., they only have to worry about school. So especially um, my first semester of Long Beach was definitely like the hardest semester I've had throughout my life. I was a full-time student. I was a D1 athlete at the time. I was in this brand new internship, and I was also rushing a frat. So I had, what was that, 4 or 5 like pretty big things, new things going on in my life, because school in college is honestly a lot more different than school in high school. So even though like people say school is school, but it definitely is a little bit harder. Um, I don't know. I just think like you kind of have to prioritize what is most important first, even though it might not be the most fun. Obviously, my school comes first, and then at the time it was my athletics, no longer my athletics, and now it's my internship. Everything else comes after that. But I think after a while, like after the first semester, you pretty much get a good understanding of what your college life is going to look like, and you're only going to get better in your time management. Like I definitely had my faults in my first semester, like for sure, and a bunch of different aspects, not just in my school life or work life or athletics life, but also in my social life. You have to learn to manage a lot of different things, and
Finishing that video.
yeah. Well, not gonna lie, like you might think like, oh, like editing, it must be so much work. What do you do when you unwind from that? Da 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 da. Like my whole thing is, me personally, like unwinding or editing is unwinding for me. Like at the end of the day, like on a, let's say, a Thursday night, like I would love to just like chill, have some snacks with me, like lay in my bed nice and cozy and just edit, just get work done, like because it's fun for me. Honestly, editing doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like a task. It doesn't feel like a chore, because I love it. I enjoy doing it. It's like it's a hobby, but it's also my career, and I think that's like the most important thing, to love what you're doing. It's like honestly, like at any point, I could just sit down somewhere nice, calm, and just edit, and like I just be peace of mind. Like yeah, I have my times where I watch my fair share of Netflix. I play some PS5. I hang out with my friends. Like that's for sure like a calm thing to do. But like for the most part, like I don't mind editing as a wind down for sure.
It's amazing.
Um, well, my short-term goal is I want to film the Olympics when it comes to LA in the next couple of years. I think I'm definitely on the right track. I've recently gotten like blessed with really good opportunities to shoot for both the men's and women's USA Rugby national teams, and I think I've been making really good connections with both the coaches, players, and staff for both teams. And so I definitely think I'm on the right track for that, and I think that would be super cool, because originally back in high school, my goal was to be an athlete, to play for the rugby sevens men's teams in the Olympics, but like obviously now it's never gonna happen. So like if I could get there to film, to be their lead of video production or their lead of photography, like whichever one or both, like that would be so cool. Like that would be like a goal for me that like I would like cherish for the rest of my life. Just all right. Yeah, honestly, the good thing is about right now where my position is in the sports media industry is I could take it anywhere. There's so many different opportunities, so many different lanes, and there's no better place to be than here in Los Angeles because we have, two football teams, two basketball teams, two baseball teams, two hockey games, two hockey teams, so many different colleges and universities. Like I could get a full-time job that pays really good at, say, being a director of like creative vision at USC or UCLA, or you could be a director of video production, or like a director of sports media position at a team like the Rams or the Chargers or like NFL or NBA. Honestly, anything like that. I just want to work in professional sports. I think that'd be super cool. Whether I do get a high director of sports media role at an NBA or NFL team, or the collegiate level, or maybe go a different route and be like a lead editor for Netflix or ABC or something like that, some company that makes documentaries, or for example, like Michael Jordan's The Last Dance.
Yes.
Like someone maybe like be like the director of that, or the lead of some sort of creative department for a big company like that, such as Netflix or ABC, ESPN, stuff like that. Um, or I just take a completely different route. Maybe a little idea that always sounds fun to me is to be like the athletic director for a big school, such as like a SEC school or a Big Ten school, because then I'm still involved with sports and I still get to travel and I still get to be around, like the games that I love. That's a little bit on a different little side route, but it's still possible. But yeah, honestly, like I have no idea where I'm gonna be, you know, a year from now, let alone in 4 years, 3 years from now when I graduate, let alone in 10 years from now. So,
Yeah.
so many different lanes, so many different opportunities. But I'm just excited. I kind of just take it week by week. Every week, I honestly just get new freelance jobs that just I would never really have expected to work with. I have a job with LA Galaxy on Saturday, so that'll be cool. That'll be my very first MLS job. But yeah, again, like I never even like, the cool thing is they reached out to me, I didn't reach out to them.
Yeah.
So it's like never in my life would I ever thought I'd be working with professional soccer, professional rugby, like hopefully soon professional basketball or professional football. That's definitely on my goal. It's definitely on my list. So I definitely think the biggest thing about making connections in this industry is you have to be personable. Like people love people with a personality because then they can remember you. Like if you're just a super like, not to like throw shade at anyone, but most of the time if you're just a super, there's nothing wrong with it. Everyone has their own comfort level for sure. But if you're more on like the quiet side or more super introverted or don't really put yourself out there, odds are other people that do put themselves out there more, that are more personable, that do have more of a personality, that do put more effort into, extroverting and meeting people, are probably going to get more jobs because of you, just because people enjoy being around them more because they are more of a character, because maybe you make their work day or their long media shoot a little bit better, or you make them laugh a couple times, stuff like that. And so another thing that I think definitely gives me an edge of a little bit over the average person in this industry is that I'm still in college. Like people love to help college kids, like people love to help people start their career, kick off their career. Also because 9 times out of 10, my rates are going to be cheaper than say a 50-year-old man that has a mortgage and has a family to feed and has all these bills, And also 9 times out of 10, college kids like my age are a little more okay, how do I say this? Da, 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 da. Yeah, flexible, but okay, I'll say that, like, yeah. And then also, speaking of that, like, again, like 9 times out of 10, people my age are more hungry to work. They're more hungry for these jobs. They're willing to, after a game, starting at 11 p.m., stay up all night and get a video out by 6 a.m. the next day, and then, pound a couple energy drinks and go right up back to work again the next day.
Yeah.
Because people that are 50 are going to, they have their schedule, they have their, they're stuck to a routine, and people love hiring college kids because they'll do whatever it takes to get that job done, and 9 times out of 10, their work's going to be better quality, better results, and cheaper than, say, a 55-year-old man that's asking for, all this money, when in the end it's going to take 4 times the amount of time, and it might not be as good as an edit as, say, a 23, 20, late teen-year-old guy. So I think that's definitely like a big thing. Yeah, I don't know. Like that's honestly just the thing I've noticed too. Like a lot of big media companies are hiring people that have either just graduated college or are currently in college, because people are realizing that people my age just know social media a little bit better. We know the demographic because we grew up with that, versus people my parents' age, they didn't grow up with that. They had to adapt to the world of social media, where I literally was raised with that. So like I'm gonna understand the world of social media more than anybody my parents' generation, no matter how hard they try to learn or anything, because I'm always gonna have a step up over that age group, you know. So yeah, so that's why it's like at some point I'm not gonna be able to be in this sports videography or editing lane. Last year, my freshman year, it would be spring of 24. I was the lead videographer for the men's volleyball team, who, as most of you know, like historically is one of the better volleyball programs in NCAA, men's volleyball programs in NCAA. And our libero at the time last year, Mason Briggs, who I believe was here for 4 or 5 years, was like an All-American libero, like one of the greats in NCAA. Um, he was my neighbor, so last year, so like my rugby house is kind of right next to where him and a lot of the volleyball guys lived. So ran into each other a couple times and realized like I was going to be filming for his team this upcoming season. And he pitched me a really cool idea. It was honestly kind of mutual. It was kind of me reaching out to him saying like, "Hey, bro, like I want to film some content for you because like I was gonna shoot content for him for free. I was gonna help him out by giving him like free content, you know, and he was gonna help me because when we collaborate, he has the following, so that was gonna be more eyes on my account, and so it was kind of like a like a little partnership we got going at the time, um, but originally it was gonna be little like day in the lives or like how Mason Briggs gets ready for a big game or something like that, you know. But then he came up with the even better idea, which was apparently back in I think it was 2018, 2019. Don't quote me on that, but pretty sure those were the 2 years that Long Beach won. Our volleyball team won back-to-back national championships, and during that time, there was a documentary crew that came in and had a 4 or 5 episode documentary called Legacy about the national championship team that year that kind of followed them around throughout the entire season. And Mason and I were looking at this and we were like, okay, like this is cool. We should do this, but do it in our own way. Not necessarily like make it better, but like put our own style, put my own style with my own editing style, just to see like what it comes out to be, you know. And so like we were both super excited about that, and we started with a couple bit of interviews, and I think our first episode was after our the first time we played UCLA at home, and I think we swept them 3-0. Following night, we got swept there, so it was kind of ironic. But that first episode is kind of what started it, which ended up being a 3-piece documentary. First one was the UCLA series. Second one was, I think it was Penn State. Third one was Hawaii back-to-back when we won both nights and the pyramid was sold out, which was absolutely electric. And never did one for Big West because we were both really busy. I didn't have time to edit that together. And then immediately after that was national championship, which obviously went really well, amazing up into the point where we lost in the finals. So that kind of put a unfortunate end in the moment to our documentary because we were like, crap, like, is it even worth it to finish it? Like, what do we do now? Because, the goal was to win the national championship and have this amazing documentary to look back on for our whole life, But looking back now, we were actually talking as of recent, we are going to finish it. I'm actually in the process of creating the final 2 episodes, which are going to be out soon.